Hi skiers, I'm Jeff from SkiEssentials.com.
I'm Bob. How's it going?
Welcome to episode 27 of our Top 5 Fridays news videos. Bob, how you doing today?
Great, thanks. How are you?
Really good.
Rode my bike this morning, but
Yep.
cross-country skied in my yard on Tuesday.
Yeah, Bob, tell them what happened in Vermont this week.
We got a lot of snow, and now it's, 65 and sunny?
Yeah, at least.
Just had a nice cookout outside.
Yeah, so we've had our first skiing here in Vermont, which is really exciting. A lot of people went alpine touring in the early days of this week.
Yep.
I think a couple people got three full days in. So pretty cool, but now the snow is melting pretty rapidly. Although I know Stowe was blowing snow throughout that storm. So just from driving into work this morning, if you care about the snow coverage at Stowe, it did look like a couple of the... Like, they have, like, the Lord to North Slope trail.
Yeah.
Looks like it's pretty well covered, because that's still all white.
Yeah.
So, yeah, pretty exciting that here in Vermont we got to ski this week. We also just released a video about choosing alpine touring setups, which felt really topical this week.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And just in general, a lot of people are looking to get into touring this year, so check that out if you haven't. And I think anything else, or do you want to just jump right into it?
Let's get to it.
So, first topic of the week. Here in Vermont, we got our state guidelines for ski resorts operating in this pandemic that we're going through, and then we also have some updates from Colorado as well. So, the Vermont guidelines were, I don't think anything too surprising in there.
No.
It pretty much follows kind of just state guidelines in general.
Right.
The one of the big things that kind of jumped out to me is that lodge capacity, we knew lodge capacity was going to be restricted, but we didn't really know to what capacity.
Yeah.
So they're saying lodge capacity cannot exceed 50% or 75 people.
Right. And, what lodge has a capacity for,
150 people?
125. I'm not
I
sure.
don't know. Yeah, so pretty much 75 people is going to be
people.
the limitation across the board.
Yeah. And that's per, I read it's per individual building.
Yeah,
so even, a place like Stowe that has some an upstairs and a downstairs, that still counts as one place.
Right. The great room or the grand room over at Spruce.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've been to Stowe, we have a new lodge that's huge.
Yeah, it's huge.
75 people in that building is going to feel like nothing.
Right.
So pretty interesting to get those guidelines. And then the other big thing that's really sparking the most discussion among people is all out-of-state skiers will have to attest to complying to Vermont's state quarantine rules.
Mm-hmm.
So they're basically saying, if you're traveling here to ski, you need to obey every single guideline that the state has put forward.
Right.
So Vermont's done a pretty good job with this overall, I think. Pretty much weekly we get an updated map of surrounding areas. Right now, if Stowe opened today, or if a mountain in Vermont opened today, pretty much nobody from out of state would be able to come here and ski without quarantining.
Correct. So it wouldn't do them any good today.
Right.
Yeah.
With a couple exceptions. I think there's a couple counties in neighboring states that would be able to come over and ski. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting to watch this. And it's something that us as Vermonters have been watching kind of all summer. I took some trips to Maine this year, and I was able to do so because those counties dropped below the threshold, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's all subject to change. And, I think hopefully we can kind of, us as a society can rein this thing back in, and people can come to Vermont and ski without having to sign a piece of paper that says they quarantine for 14 days or 7 days with a negative COVID test. So kind of nice to get those ski resort guidelines here in Vermont, because I think it's giving us a clearer picture of what the season's going to look like.
Yeah.
So pretty interesting. And then if we move over to Colorado, in contrary to what's happening here in Vermont, they've only released what they're calling proposed guidelines. So it's kind of still leaving a little bit of a gray area, which will be interesting to watch play out, because that's such a massive destination. People come to Vermont to ski, but more people go to Colorado to ski.
Yeah, I mean, millions.
Yeah. So, like, we don't have a giant airport hub like the Denver airport.
Right.
Like, yeah.
No, it's a different animal altogether.
You could fit, like, 25 Burlington airports inside the building of the Denver airport. So it's going to be really interesting to watch that. Now, that said, Keystone received the green light to open today. So people are skiing at Keystone right now. People are skiing at Wolf Creek right now. And mountains in Colorado are going to continue to open. Now, we are watching a few other things closely. So Vail, the town of Vail, has basically put out a mask mandate for a certain part of the town.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't dig too deeply into it to see like what area in the town. I assume it's got a lot to do with the village area.
Right.
But yeah, masks are required right now in a certain part of Vail. And then Summit County, this is a little bit concerning. Summit County's COVID levels have gone back up to an orange level. And orange is basically one step below red in the color scheme of things. And basically, if they get to red, that's when they would get some sort of stay-at-home order. So right now, you can go skiing in Colorado, but we will certainly keep a close eye on how this all plays out. Now that transitions us nicely into our second topic of the week, which is Vail's reservation system is live right now. Today was the first day that you could log in and reserve your priority days, or if you want to ski, like if you're out in Colorado and you want to ski in the next 9 days, I think, you could log in and make those reservations. Now, we've both been on this page recently. Before we get into what's happening right now, in general, I've kind of heard like a mix of feedback from people. I don't know if you've talked to anybody that's been making reservations.
No, but certainly more questions than answers at this point. I think people were kind of interested to see how it all shaked out. And I think today's the day to kind of see how that's going to go.
I did see, it was more like first thing this morning, I saw a few pretty positive posts from people saying like, I just went through the reservation system. It really answered a lot of my questions. I'm going skiing at Keystone on Monday.
Right.
That was like a specific comment that I saw from somebody, and they were pretty positive about the whole thing. Now, since then, I think it's kind of being the first day and that so many people are probably logging on to reserve those priority days, it's clogging things up a little bit. Like we were just on there and it said, 124,000 people are ahead of you?
Yeah.
Which certainly sounds like a lot. And basically what they're doing is they've got like a waiting room system where you can put your email address in and then they'll email you. You'll get like a sound notification on your phone or your computer or whatever, and then you can go on and make your reservation if you do so within 20 minutes. And they also said that they're moving through 50,000 people per hour.
Right.
At least that's what their estimate was. So even if there's 124,000 people in front of you, fingers crossed, hopefully, within 3 hours you'll be able to get access to something. Now, like I said, I think this really is the most important for people that are looking to book ski trips.
Right. Not daily. This isn't really the day for daily skiers.
Yeah, I mean, I assume like a certain percentage of these 124,000 people are trying to ski Keystone or Breckenridge, like when they open, because I think Breck is scheduled to open shortly. But I imagine that the big percentage of that 124,000 is people looking to make sure they dial in their vacation for Christmas break or February or whatever. Now, Bob, you had an interesting thought on how you might use your 7 priority reservation days.
Yeah, so like as a daily skier here at Stowe, I'm just going to keep re-upping my, week of reservations. I don't really have, I'm not going to take a ski trip.
Right.
So I have those 7 days to play with, and I was thinking of looking back through my records and finding like the 7 snowiest days in the recent history and booking those days so that I know that it's going to snow.
Yeah, so I like Bob's kind of thinking of gambling on powder days.
It's data driven, so it'll be fine.
Right. You're totally gonna reserve like the worst days of the season.
Then I'm gonna go and have a blast.
Yeah, no, I like that mindset that you've got going there,
Yeah.
and it's nice. I think like for me personally, my kind of biggest takeaway and how I've been thinking all day today, sort of, is like, oh, cool, it's happening.
Yeah.
Like this is like the one more step closer to like a real ski season. Is like there are people skiing right now in Keystone, and it's happening.
Right.
Now, that said, Keystone is booked through the weekend. So Keystone is already sold out through this weekend. I'm not really surprised by that because they have limited terrain right now, and it's all kind of terrain based.
Right.
So they can't pack like 10,000 people on the mountain because they only have a handful of open trails.
Yeah.
So we'll watch that too as they like expand their open terrain. What happens to the reservation system and how many people are feeling like they can't get on the mountain.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to watch it all play out. And if any of you last week, I asked if anybody was living over in Europe and if they could give us kind of some anecdotal information on their experience. If any of you are booking Keystone ski days like in the next weekend especially, let us know what your experience is like, because I'd be really interested to hear some anecdotal feedback from people out in Colorado. Now, third topic of the week, these next two I think we can just kind of rip through them pretty quickly. Apparently I left my edit of the week sheets. Oh, no, there it is. So third topic of the week, Bob. FIS has postponed the upcoming stops in Austria. Now, kind of like a silver lining here is it wasn't due to COVID. They actually postponed these stops due to a lack of snow. So those have been moved to November 26th and 27th. Now, it'd be irresponsible for us to not mention that Austria has also just re-entered a lockdown.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. Sometimes athletes in this situation are able to get kind of like government approval. So we'll see if that happens. But right now they're pushed back a couple weeks just due to snow. The women's slalom race in Finland is still on track for November 21st and 21st through 23rd. And that's, so hopefully we get some Michaela Schifrin racing.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see. We'll continue to watch these.
Again, just showing like there's a lot going on with this race circuit. It's not just one skier going down a hill at a time.
Right.
There's basically a whole industry based off of this.
Yeah, there's tons of variables too. So there's a lot that goes into planning these events and making them happen. We'll continue to update you guys on anything FIS World Cup related. And then similarly, the Freeride World Tour has officially canceled the Hakuba and the Kicking Horse stops. So they're basically following the path of what FIS World Cup has done. They're just going to focus on having a Europe-only season. So what they're doing right now is they're looking to reschedule those two stops at different venues in Europe, just to kind of minimize the amount of travel that people are going to have to do, and just keep everything as safe and as easy to do as possible.
Yeah, and I think they'll, hopefully they'll come up with some creative alternative if they can't figure out how to get everyone in the same place at the same time. I think about like, you remember how they did like you would submit your video for X Games? They had like this submission. It was mostly for like urban stuff.
Like X Games Real Ski.
Yeah, exactly. Like they should think about doing something like that for that in like these venues that people can access.
Yeah, X Games actually does like a real snow now, they call it. So they have Real Ski, which is like street urban stuff, and then Real Snow, which is like big mountainy stuff.
Right.
So I think that would be a pretty viable option, and like the athletes that are involved in the Freeride World Tour would put out some incredible videos.
Right. Like I would love to see that.
Yeah, like it's amazing watching what these guys can do on a competition run.
Right.
If you give them like unlimited or more freedoms to and more attempts, you're gonna see like some crazy skiing.
And even stuff in like their hometown areas,
Totally.
if someone's like a Jackson native or something and they
Right.
have this crazy line that they want to get filmed skiing. Like that would be really fun to watch.
Yeah, totally. I like that idea. So some changes to Freeride World Tour, but we'll, like this World Cup, we'll keep you updated as we get those updates.
Yep.
And then lastly, we've got our edits of the week. So first we have a video called That's, which is presented by D-Structure and put together by good friend Cam Willis. And it basically tells the story of, interestingly, Emile Bergeron and his path and his story of putting together his X Games real ski.
Oh,
edit.
interesting. I did not know that was connected.
Yeah. Look at that,
All
Bob.
right.
You're just making unknowingly making the best transitions ever. Yeah, really good. Cam Willis is a really talented videographer and filmmaker. So I would check that out if you're at all interested in how that stuff works. We actually have another kind of urban related video, but before that, we have a video from Red Bull called Above the Arctic Circle, Skiing the Midnight Sun.
Interesting.
Which is exactly what it sounds like, just like nonstop sunlight.
Yeah.
And they skied some incredible lines. It's all in a language that I didn't understand, but there are captions, so you can kind of understand what's going on.
Yeah.
But I was mostly just really interested in the terrain and kind of watching them navigate their way through this kind of uncharted territory, so to speak. Pretty cool stuff.
How do you think they decide when to sleep? You think they just look at their watch and then go to bed?
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't do well in that.
I do better it's getting now dark at 4:30.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I would do better with 6 hours of daylight total rather than no darkness.
Yeah.
That's just me. And then lastly, we have a short film called Nowhere from the guys over at Good Company. And this is just another short film, pretty much all urban skiing. So, like I said, a couple urban skiing based videos this week. But pretty entertaining, even if you're not into that kind of stuff. The only thing that I don't like watching in those urban videos is the falls.
Right. They all look painful. There's nothing soft about them.
No.
But the creativity of that stuff is
really cool.
Unbelievable. How they see a potential feature and how they build around it and make it happen.
Yeah.
That's it's very impressive.
Yeah, and the camaraderie is really cool too.
Yeah.
When you're doing urban shoots like this, they're incredibly time consuming. You don't see it. You don't see the behind the scenes stuff, but shoveling off the stairs so the shot looks cool, and then building the lip and building the in run and setting up the winch or setting up the pulley thing. There's so much that goes into it, and there's one shot in particular in here that I really liked where I can't remember the skier, but he gets his trick on a 6 kink rail, a down flat down, and rides away, and he's stoked, and then they cut quick cut in the camera, and then somebody comes running from the top and throws a shovel down, and he's like, yeah! And it's really cool to see just the excitement and the camaraderie between these skiers. So yeah, that's it. That's Top 5 Fridays for the week. Bob, anything to leave with?
No, I just like it when they do the toe-ins and then they go up the rails.
Yeah.
That's my new favorite thing.
Yes.
Is the up rail.
I agree.
Stuff.
More toe-ins to up rails, please.
That's it. That's
okay, that's all we got. So yeah, hopefully if you're out in Colorado, maybe you're on snow this week. Maybe you got to ski here in Vermont earlier this week.
Maybe you're 130,000th in line to book your priority days at this point.
Maybe you're booking your priority days right now. But regardless, ski season kind of feels like it's here.
Yeah.
I feel like this week especially really feels like it's here. So thanks for joining us, and we will talk to you next week.
Bye.